The Tar Heel State was first in flight, but we're flying today in the Palmetto State with the President and CEO of the North American Institute of Aviation. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the North American Institute of Aviation at the Conway, Horry County Airport. We're focused on the Institute of Aviation, and we're visiting with its president and CEO, Benjamin Creel. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Glad to be here as always.
It is very exciting to kick off the week, and we think throughout the week all the excitement going on. Obviously, to have Mike Hill with us and the experiences of Avcraft Support Services, as well as Bob Brooks, the founder there of Hooters Airline, and the impact that it has had on aviation here in Horry County. This is a big week.
Yes, sir. I think it's going to be.
Absolutely. And, of course, the other exciting thing I failed to mention, you're also the president and CEO of Creel Oil and Gas Company, which has been here for a heck of a long time.
That's correct. We've been here since 1943.
Is that right? And you are now, what, third or fourth generation?
Third generation.
Third generation of running the company. That's very exciting. And it's a family business?
That's correct. That's correct. And has been. It was actually someone else's family business before it was in my family's business. But the building we're in over there has actually been in use since 1921.
Is that right? Golly. 85 years. Not too far from that. That is incredible. This is a magnificent facility. Coming out early this morning down off of 378, and to be out here, the Conway, Horry County Airport, and y'all's facility here is incredible.
Yes, sir. We're very, very pleased with it. We moved into this building in May of 2004. As you may remember, the previous facility had been destroyed by a catastrophic fire. And we overcame those times in some temporary facilities, and with a lot of cooperation from Horry County Department of Airports and a lot of other people, we moved into this facility that we're sitting in now about 13 months ago.
Is that right? So it is just that new. I mean, it is amazing. For folks who've never been out here, does the public come out here often?
Yes, they do. We don't see the public as much as we would like to, because I don't think a lot of people realize that this is a public airport. Mm-hmm. And, we have a very public aspect that was intentionally built into the design of this building. Mm-hmm. We have a conference room facilities. We have visitors areas, lounges, visiting pilots lounge. And we are the fixed base operator at this airport. But it is a public airport. It's not North American's airport at all. We're the operator here, but our doors are wide open to the public, and we would invite and welcome the public to come out, and if nothing else, just come out and see what we're about and see how this airport could help them in their own business or their personal needs.
Absolutely. Well, it's so exciting to think about the opportunities to visit and the ease of getting here. If a viewer's never been out here before, they wanted to get direction, what's the best number for someone to call to get directions?
The main number is 843-397-9111.
Okay.
And that will take you directly to the switchboard, and you tell them, what your need might be or what you might be interested in, and they'll either answer your question or direct you to the person who can answer it.
Is there someone out who gives flight instruction? Is there oftentimes flight instruction for the public, or is that rarely done?
Certainly, that's done just about every day of the year, but there's really more to it than that. In addition to the other things we do, if we have a primary role, we're a professional pilot school, an FAA, what is called Part 141 approved professional pilot program, and we're also an airframe and power plant school. Now, what do those things mean? It means we train people to be aircraft and power plant technicians, and we also train professional pilots. We also give flying lessons. If someone doesn't want to make a commitment to the full professional pilot program, if they just want to learn to fly or take flying lessons to determine whether or not they want to learn to fly or pursue a pilot's license, then we do that as well. That's how I learned to fly. I was never in the professional pilot program here. I just was interested in it, came out, took some lessons, and continued on with it to the point that I did get my commercial pilot's license and my instrument rating. But you know, it's whatever the customer wants. If they want to become a private pilot, then we can accommodate them. If they want to become a professional pilot, we can accommodate them, and anywhere in between. The little bit more to the story that some of your viewers may have seen, this was in the paper last week, but June, and this is not just here, this is nationwide, a program which is sponsored by the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. June is Learn to Fly Month.
Right.
And this school and several thousand other schools across the country are participating in that program, whereby if someone wants to come out and take an introductory flight lesson, they can do that for just $49.
Is that right? An introductory flight lesson is reasonable. It's $49?
Yes, sir. It's if they want to find out, you know, is this something I would be interested in or not. There's certainly no commitment on either part. If they call the number that we talked about earlier, they can call, say, I would like to, to take an introductory flight lesson. They can call and schedule that, or they can go on the internet and download a certificate, but the certificate's really not absolutely necessary. It's called the Be a Pilot program.
That's fantastic. Now, that's just here during the month of June. Are there ever opportunities during other summertime months when it's particularly prime?
We actually do that year-round, but it's being promoted nationally by the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association during the month of June.
That's fantastic. So now, and how far in advance normally would someone need to schedule it? If someone's watching this morning and they called, how far in advance do you think they'd have to be calling to schedule something?
We cut the schedule for the following day at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the prior day. Now, they could certainly, if they wanted to, call a week in advance.
Yeah.
But up to reasonably 3:30 one afternoon for any time the following day.
And if they paid the $49, what would that get them? What's an example of? They get out here, obviously have to do a little instruction. I mean, is that going to get them up in a plane, Benjamin?
Oh, absolutely. They will get up in the aircraft with a certified flight instructor, of course.
Wow.
And he will show them some basics about handling the aircraft, how it works, how the aerodynamics of the aircraft work. And then they will actually take controls of the airplane and fly the airplane.
Oh, Lord, how long is a session like that take?
From beginning to end, about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm talking including time on the ground in that.
Right. God, that's a pretty intense hour and 15 minutes. Then, if someone's actually getting up into the air, of course, it depends on the weather. You've got to have nice weather, clear weather, I assume.
Certainly needs to be visual conditions.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned about yourself, you'd gotten your, is it instrument rating? For a viewer who may not be familiar with that, what does that mean exactly?
And that is usually the second step past getting a private pilot's license is getting an instrument rating, and then the next step would be commercial if you took that additional step. Having an instrument rating, as the name implies, means that you are certified to fly the aircraft solely by reference to the instruments. That means you can fly in adverse weather. Doesn't mean you can fly in any weather, but it means you can fly in adverse weather. And I won't bore you or your readership with the parameters as set by the FAA for that, but the two terms are visual conditions under visual flight rules or instrument conditions, instrument flight rules.
Mm-hmm. What folks are talking about VFR and IFR
exactly.
Commonly, and of course there are a lot of crazy acronyms and otherwise that folks wouldn't have heard of. But the excitement of being able to get out for as reasonable as $49 if it's a clear day to plan it. Oftentimes, why it's great to plan a day in advance for something, or even to call out and see if there's opportunity to get out the day up. I mean, just to get out here to see folks doing it. I'm sure you probably encourage folks to come out and even watch a session, to see somebody else taking a session so that they can get up, just to make people feel comfortable.
Absolutely. And for a little bit more money than that, the $49 is a two-seater aircraft. If someone wants to come and bring someone with them, we can put them in a four-seater aircraft. for $79.
Tremendous. Wow. How, golly, Benjamin, that must be exciting. And can you think back to your first experience of getting up, what that was like? Did you have any trepidation early on? I mean, or isn't there just some innate fear of, what am I doing getting up here? I mean, this thing, or is it entirely I'm ready to do it?
Well, my first flying lesson was not my first experience in a private plane.
Right.
My first experience in a private plane had taken place at this same airport several years prior, but no, I didn't have any trepidation at all, really, because I had flown numerous times.
Right.
My brother-in-law's father had a private plane, and I was very accustomed to it.
Mm-hmm.
But even those who are not accustomed to it, I will be very surprised if they were to try it if they did not find it to be an exciting experience.
Benjamin, with all the time involved in running Creel Oil and Gas, how did you find the time to get involved in the North American Institute of Aviation?
Oh, that's a very, very long story.
Well, great, we got 15 minutes.
We'll boil that down. But first and foremost, I have some very good help at Creel Oil and Gas Company, and I spend a fair amount of time riding back and forth in between here and there.
Oh, yeah.
I do spend lately, especially, most of my time here. But with the advent of email and telephones and that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
staying in communication is much easier than it used to be.
Right. Fortunately, both of them are headquartered in Horry, both of them really close by to Conway, although Creel Oil and Gas is spread out quite a bit, isn't it?
Well, it's only from this office or this facility to that office is only 10 minutes.
Oh, great. Good.
So it's not a big problem at all.
And we're here off of 378, Highway 378, which is commonly thought of between the southern Florence County and a good connection to Conway. So a lot of folks have been out here, Conway, Horry County Airport, but again, so many folks have not.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. We had some people pull up here the other day looking for directions. They actually said, ironically enough, is this where the Hooters planes land?
No way.
Right out in the parking lot. And, of course, we gave them directions to Myrtle Beach Airport.
Right.
But this is Horry County's airport. And I'm almost certain this was the first airport in Horry County.
Is that right?
I may be wrong about
Yeah.
that, but this is Conway Horry County Airport. And conversely, we have had people who were looking for Conway Airport go to Myrtle Beach Airport because there's more signage for that airport,
Oh, yeah.
of course.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it happens about, I'd say, once or twice a month.
Is that right?
People going along 378, they see the sign with the airport or the aircraft insignia on it, and they think, oh, well, this must be it. But they're actually not even in Myrtle Beach yet and don't realize it.
Now, did you found the North American Institute of Aviation, or did you buy the facility, Benjamin?
North American was founded in New Jersey in 1972.
Mm-hmm.
It was moved by its prior owners to this airport in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
And my purchase of the company took place in the year 2000.
So just 5 years ago.
That's correct. That's correct. But no, the school's been in existence for over 33 years last month. And that is how and why we have thousands of graduates out there flying for dozens and dozens of different airlines or in corporate aviation, what have you.
Absolutely. And if a viewer visited NAIASC.com, they would see a tremendous litany of airlines as well as carriers and otherwise that so many of your graduates are flying for. International, national, as well airlines, an incredible array. That is a magnificent website.
Well, thank you very much. We've recently spruced it up. I'm glad it meets your approval.
Absolutely. Quite a bit on there. Of course, it lays out a heck of a lot, and it makes you think about aviation maintenance, about pilot training, obviously, as you say, both for professional and commercial, any numbers of levels of pilot training, as well as just some of the basics of housing for your students very close at hand. A lot of practical things that should really get folks interested in coming out here for the first time or coming out here for many, many months, like so many of your pilot candidates are.
Certainly, and we feel like that's one of the advantages that we have over not every school, certainly, but over many schools, is that we have on-site housing right here just a couple of minutes walk from the school. Mm-hmm. Many schools don't have that or those facilities that convenient to the school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it works especially well for the international students. Many of them do buy cars, but they don't have to have the expense of buying and insuring and fueling a car. They can walk back and forth right to from the campus to the dorms, and if they need groceries, we have regular runs into town and
Mm-hmm.
to the grocery stores and that sort of thing.
What percentage of your students would be international students, as well as what percentage, how about the male to female ratio? Are a lot of women getting interested in piloting, and is there a desire to bring more women into the profession?
To answer the first part of your question, overall, and I'm pretty sure this is true, speaking not just the 5 years that I have been here, but say the last 10 to 15 years, if you roll all that together, you're looking at about 40% domestic or U.S. students and 60% international.
Mm-hmm.
Many years ago, it was skewed much more heavily to the international side just because of industry factors and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've also seen probably the ladies have gone from 1 or 2, 3% during that time period to 10 to 15%.
Right.
And that's certainly something we like to see. Some of our best alumni and some of our best flight instructors, graduates who have gone to work for us,
Mm-hmm.
have been ladies.
With so many things happening out here at the Conway Horry County Airport, I think recently both the runway and the ramps have been resurfaced. Am I correct?
That's correct. And those are things that just have to be done every 10, 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But our runway, while it was certainly serviceable, was due or overdue for a repaving project, as was our ramp. And once again, that was a collaborative and cooperative effort between Horry County Department of Airports and the FAA.
Mm-hmm.
And it caused us some inconvenience, of course, just like when you pave a highway.
Sure.
There's some inconvenience for a period of time, but once it's done, you're glad and thankful that it is done, and that is another thing. If you have in your viewership out there, they might want to know that we've got those new services, and they don't have to worry about rocks in their props or anything like that.
Right. Not only that, but this amazing new facility. You said it's been about 13 months since everything reopened after that tragic fire you all had a couple of years ago.
That's correct. And intentionally in the design, there was more of a public design aspect
Sure.
to it, as I mentioned. I think I failed to mention, in addition to the visiting pilots or transient facilities, we also have a shower facility and a snooze room for transient pilots or their guests or their passengers, as the case may be.
Well, if a viewer's coming in, visiting for the first time, let's say they were coming out to watch a friend at at one of those flight sessions, the friend and one of your pilot instructors are up in the air and they take a little walk around the facility. What are they going to see if they're here for the first time, Benjamin?
Well, when you enter the building at the public entrance, as opposed to the employee entrance, you're in the lobby area and the what we call the operations area, the
Right.
counter, which is also the reception area. That's where we dispatch aircraft, where fuel is paid for, this sort of thing. The center of the building is one large room for the flight instructors and their students, and that's where before and after their lessons that they talk about what they're going to do, then they go out and do it, then they come back, do what we call a gig, and the instructor says to the student, this is what you did well, this is what we need to work on. They do their paperwork, which is very important in any part of the aviation industry, including the flight training industry, and then they schedule their next flight.
Mm-hmm.
As you go around the building, there's the conference room that transitions to what we call the administrative corridor, where the chief flight instructor, the director of operations, my office, our in-house bookkeeper, student services, and the other chief flight instructors, the directors of admissions, both domestic and international, all of those offices are on that administrative corridor.
Golly, a litany of folks.
Yes, sir. We've got a diverse group here.
A big team.
And as you continue through, then you come to the three large classrooms. one of which is what we're sitting in today.
Right, right. Of course, folks can get a good shot here in that two-shot, the great classroom setting, as well as these great model airplanes here in front of us.
Yes, sir. These are some pretty good conversation pieces. Virtually everyone, I'm sure, would recognize there in the center the model of the Wright Flyer.
The Wright Flyer, yeah.
Which that model was actually a housewarming present when we moved into this new facility. But that, of course, in 1903 was the first controlled powered flight was done in the Wright Flyer. On my left, let's see, this is an F-4U Corsair, which was a naval aircraft in World War II. You and your viewers may remember the television show Ba Ba Black Sheep with actually that was a Marine squadron in World War II. That was the aircraft that they flew. And to our right is and no connection to this company, but the North American P-51 Mustang, which was primarily designed to be able to escort bombers all the way from England over Germany and back during World War II. The P-51 is regarded by many as the greatest fighter of all time.
Wow. And
perhaps less interesting, but nevertheless of some notoriety. In front of that is the Havilland -8 300 series, which is an aircraft which is largely used by Widerøe, which is a Norwegian airline for which many of our graduates work.
Mm-hmm. That is tremendous. And of course, there are these great planes these model planes that you can't see that are behind you, but will be behind all the folks who are with us this week. It's just magnificent to be in here and to see offering aviation training since 1972, which is critical. You know, when you think about the experiences of really being able to make a difference for folks for more than 3 decades, it is tremendous.
Yes, sir, and that also avails us of a lot of experience. Of course, we have flight instructors who are just that, primary flight instructors, and that's true of virtually any school. I'm sure it's true of every school, though I cannot state that categorically. But among our senior staff who oversee those instructors, there's 75 plus years of experience among just a few men.
Benjamin, what do you think prompted you to purchase the North American Institute of Aviation 5 years ago after it had been down here for a good 20 plus years?
Once again, that's a very long story, but
we just got a couple of minutes. So
the prior owners, the primary prior owner in particular, it's my guess that he was just getting his affairs in order as he was getting along in age, and he has since passed away. But in any event, he decided to sell the school, and there were a couple of people in this area, myself included, who expressed an interest in purchasing it. And after several months of negotiation and due diligence, I ended up purchasing the school. And as I may have mentioned before, there were several of the people who worked here were friends and acquaintances of mine, and of course I was familiar with the school from having learned to fly here.
Benjamin, you've been involved, obviously born here, raised here, gone off to school at the Citadel and then USC Law School, haven't returned to the area. There's something about Horry County that'll keep you here, if not for a long time, for the rest of your life. What is it about Horry County that obviously the ownership of companies here keeps somebody grounded, but what else is it about the county that really makes you love it so much?
Well, it's certainly where my roots are and where my family is, and I guess I could possibly foresee living somewhere else at some juncture, but I couldn't say where that would be, and I really honestly don't think that will ever happen. This will always be home.
I think I asked you that question a couple years ago when we were together at my studio. What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't the president and CEO of Creel Oil and Gas or the president and CEO of North American Institute of Aviation? What do you think you'd be doing? Do you think you would have stayed in the practice of law, or do you have any idea?
I suppose Yes, sir. I suppose I'd be practicing law somewhere, either in this area or somewhere in South Carolina, certainly.
And when you were practicing, did you have a special focus?
I did mostly corporate work.
Really?
Mostly corporate work and some taxation work.
That's great. That's great. Benjamin, thanks so much for being with us this morning. This has been a real treat.
Well, thank you very much for having us, Greg.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Benjamin Creel coming up next. You know, it's a great open door policy here, but it's an open door policy for a reason. It's been since 1972 that the North American Institute of Aviation has been training pilots. You know, you take that first flight up, it may be your last, but it may be the first that sets the stage for an entire career, a commercial pilot, a professional pilot, the opportunity to do it on your own, getting that instrument rating that Benjamin was talking about. You know, you think about the thousands of pilots. That's thousands that have been trained at the North American Institute of Aviation since 1972, whether it was the 6 years in New Jersey or the 22 years under other ownership here in Horry County, or the last 5 years under Benjamin and all the folks that are really making a difference on a daily basis, whether it's the 60% of international students or the other 40% of domestic students. Folks come here for a reason. Take the time to get off at 378 and come on in. You'll see what I saw early this morning, a plane taking off. You'll also see a newly paved, repaved runway and ramp area. The excitement is there's a lot going on out here. You heard Benjamin talk about it. $49 if you want to go up on your own. You can call the day before. He said they make the schedule at 4 p.m. the day before. You can call to find out if it's going to be a good weather day and that they can fit you in the schedule. Folks are coming out here. This is year-round for them. It's a special promotion right now all across America. But that same price, $49. You can be out here a little more than an hour. It's an easy trip in right off of 378, 843-397-9111. That's 9111, 843-397-9111. Take the time to give them a call. You can go to NAIASC.com. There's also a very special weekend coming up in March 2006. Wings Weekend. Want to know what it's about? You got to call that number and ask for Benjamin Creel. He can also talk to you about being the Man of the Year in 1998 and all the excitement of committing to the community, serving the community. It's been a Creel motto for many, many years, and it'll be that way for many years to come.